I'm in conversation with futurist and author Mike Walsh. Mike, welcome to the live webcast out on the sidelines of the Nasscom ILF 2013. First question for you. You claim this generation is fundamentally different from previous generations. Why?
I think it's very easy to get caught up with labels like Generation X, Generation Y, the millennials, and they don't actually tell you anything about how they're going to be different.
Okay.
I mean, for me, the key point where everything changed was 2007. Because if you think about it, after that point, which was the introduction of the first iPhone, you've got a generation who've grown up not only just knowing a world where they've always had the internet, but the internet, communications, entertainment, commerce, everything's been driven by their most personal device.
Okay.
And it's very easy to underestimate just how different that generation is going to be.
Okay.
Both in terms of using IT, but also as consumers.
Okay. When the motor car was invented, people said this generation is different. When the steam engine was invented, people said this generation is different. When television was invented, people said this generation is different. Why is this generation actually different? Is it not just the same thing, the advance of technology?
I mean, generations are always different, but for me the most interesting thing about this generation is they're not aware how they're different.
Okay.
You see, for you and I, we grew up with, small incremental changes in technology. So we saw, the early modems, then we saw the web browser, and then we saw mobile. So we understood it as part of a sequence.
Okay.
But if you were born and you were given at age 2, an iPhone or an iPad, your perspective on the world, on interaction, is going to be completely different.
Okay.
I mean, even the idea of a keyboard is going to be weird to you.
Okay.
So I think we as business leaders have got to kind of reconfigure our businesses for a generation that's not going to understand the way that we grew up.
It's not just a difference of scale, it's also a difference of the inherent quality of technology and human-machine interaction.
A complete difference in terms of mentality and mindset.
Okay. My next question to you, what does this mean for the modern corporation? If this generation is fundamentally different than the one that preceded it, and the corporation pretty much remains the same, and this corporation is both trying to employ this generation and sell to this generation, how are things going to be different for the corporation?
You're already seeing this now with big tech companies. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, if you became a successful technology company, the status thing to do is build a very large campus in Silicon Valley. That's what they all did. But now, if you look closely at what companies like Google and Facebook are doing, they're actually opening up smaller offices in urban areas.
Okay.
Because what they've realized with the cloud and these new technologies, you don't need to put everybody together with a big data center.
Okay.
You have to open up offices closer to where people want to live.
Okay.
And really, the idea of the modern office, I think, is broken.
Okay.
Because we made a lot of assumptions that turned out not to be true. We thought that, with modern communications technology, we could meet people more virtually, and we wouldn't even need to go to an office anymore.
Okay.
But actually, the opposite's true. I mean,
there are more offices being built around the world than ever before.
And we're meeting and traveling more than ever before.
Okay.
And I believe it's got to do with a very simple fact. The more connected we are, the more we talk to each other on these virtual technologies, the more we actually want to meet each other, and the more we need to connect.
And that was the misestimation that technology pundits made in the past.
Absolutely. And it's why I think we now are invited to reconsider how we design our offices.
Okay. What's wrong with the modern office? Let's start with the physical office first. What's wrong with the way we design our offices?
If you think about it, at every stage of technology, it's challenged the idea of the office.
Okay.
So when the first sort of PCs came in, we suddenly didn't have the secretarial pull anymore.
Yeah.
When the first laptops came in, we no longer needed the cubicle because you could work anywhere. And then when the phone came in, we thought we don't need the office anymore. But what is actually happening now is that there's the shift between common spaces and offices is breaking down.
Okay.
So we have to design an office that would attract someone to come and work there, even if it was on their day off. Because if you give the people the opportunity to work from home, which you have now with new technology, they don't actually work from home. They go to noisy coffee shops. They go to places that are like offices.
Because they like social interaction.
They like social interaction. They just don't want to be in your office.
Okay. All right. You've also said in past interviews that businesses should engage more with kids, and kids should be part of the board, part of the team that runs your business. But most businesses think that kids don't know anything. So why should kids be part of your business?
We have sort of two conflicting forces at work here. One of the forces at work is that we think that people joining our organizations should suffer the way that we did.
Okay.
So they need to spend 10 years fetching coffee in the trenches, being mistreated.
Okay.
And the other competing force is that fundamentally we don't understand our children.
Okay.
But what my point is that I would say is that those two forces actually should work together. There's no point telling your children to grow up and start behaving like you, because the reality is all the weird things they do with technology, the way they spend their time, how much time they spend on video games, these are actually the future consumers.
Okay.
And we should spend more time trying to understand how to be like them.
Okay.
And
not trying to get them to be like us.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go back to the previous point about what's wrong with the office. I asked you about the physical infrastructure. You've also spoken about email and how email is not being as efficient as it should be. So what's wrong with email?
One of the biggest traps we have with new technology is bringing everything we used to do and then just saddling it with the new technology.
Okay.
And then we're kind of surprised when nothing changes. So email for me is a classic case in point. So there's no doubt that new technologies like the cloud make email more efficient. But the really interesting question is, why should we have email at all?
Okay.
I mean, for me, best case, it's a tool and weapon of office politics. Worst case, it's a terrible distraction from productivity.
Okay.
And think about something like Facebook. I mean, if you talk to kids today and you ask them if they use email, they'll say yes, to talk to our parents.
Okay.
So kids don't use email anymore. It's all about social interaction. If you apply the same paradigm to the workforce, you could see if you get your best people to collaborate on an internal social network, then you actually make those projects much more visible, and you make it easier for all levels of the firm to participate. Put that on email, and it becomes hidden.
All right, so we need to redefine how email is used and how employees within an organization interact with each other, and we need to mirror trends like Facebook and Twitter. That would be your contention.
I think we can learn a lot by looking at consumers.
All right, let's move from email to the next big thing in the modern generation, which is the mobile phone. And you've said that the Indian mobile market is defined by A, B, C, D. Am I right? If I get you right, Mike, it's astrology, Bollywood, cricket, and divinity. So my question to you is this: how is the Indian mobile market going to change in the next 5 years?
I mean, this point was pointed out to me years ago when I first came to India as an example for just how different India was to the rest of the world. And I think I'm always fascinated in emerging markets, not at how they become like the United States, but how ideas that are born in new markets can become global. And for me, it's going to be very interesting watching how the unique characteristics of Indian culture merged with the smartphone generation and the cloud and social networking lead to new types of ideas. So I'm as anxious to know the answer to that question as you are.
All right, we're still chatting with Mike Walsh, futurist and author. Mike, my last question for you. You've spoken about big data and how big data can impact companies. They can make decisions based on the analytics that they derive from big data. You've also spoken about big data being very close to Big Brother, and we all face it. I start writing an email and immediately I get ads that are based on the text that's in my Gmail. Right? If I write about looking for an apartment, I get real estate ads on the right. Has it gone too far? Has big data gone too far?
One of the big challenges with big data right now is that the words become a mantra. So, you know, CEOs, IT professionals, everyone's chanting it in the hope that some insight comes from it. And I think in many ways what we call big data today, we're actually talking about big analytics. So the real opportunity is how we can take all of that information and look for insights that will change the way we think about everything from marketing to medicine. And what's really interesting for me is that the kind of minds that are going to be really capable of this are not the traditional IT people. So we're going to need to hire new people into our organizations.
Sociologists, maybe
sociologists,
creative artists,
anthropologists, people good at pattern recognition. Because what we're really looking for here is new information. It's not just about how we collect information in new ways.
So how do you see this battle between privacy and business interests? How is it going to play out in the next 5 years?
It's going to be very big. And for me, the difference is all about context. If these new technologies are used in such a way that consumers feel that their lives are made more convenient and that brands are getting to know them and personalizing experience for them, it will be accepted. If they become intrusive and abusive, what we're going to see very early on is governments over-regulating the industry before it even begins. So really the ball's in our court.
Right, so this is going to be the interplay between the corporation, the consumer and the government.
Absolutely.
So Mike, I don't know if you know a term called Jugaad innovation. It's an Indian term that means to improvise. You've spoken about how in China they've used washing machines to convert them into vegetable washers. India is famous for this kind of Jugaad innovation. Somebody takes an irrigation pump, puts it on 4 wheels and makes their own car. India is known for this innovation. One of the downsides of this innovation is it will never lead to an iPhone or an iPod or any big technological innovation. We in India are justifiably proud that we can make do, we can do frugal engineering, and we can do what's called Jugaad. Where do you see the future of impromptu or improvised innovation?
I think there's a very close association with this Jugaad innovation and the new models that the internet gives us, which is that you don't have to engineer something from the start. It's better to experiment and understand what the market needs. But there's a very important step that I think many Indian companies don't go beyond that, which is how do you take that from the improvisation to abstracting that to the bigger market
Right, to
opportunity.
scale that to a bigger-
To scale that.
to
And so for me, you know, improvisation is step one.
Okay.
You know, it's a very important
But
step.
it's not the final step.
It's not the final step.
Okay.
It's about understanding the needs of the market, responding to that with an easy solution, and then abstracting that finally to something that's world scale.
All right. So that's me, Suresh Venkat, in conversation with Mike Walsh, Futurist and author. Mike Walsh, thank you very much for
My
being part
pleasure.
of this show.
Thank you very much.